Hi, I'm Laurie and welcome to your Feel Good foam rolling routine. What you're going to need today, have a mat or just some sort of padding that you can sit on. You will need a foam roller, and then at the very end, if you have it, if you don't worry about it. You can just hit stop and be on your merry way. But if you have some sort of lacrosse ball or a tennis ball, grab it as well. This will just allow us to hit those little smaller spots that are harder to get with this big, ginormous foam roller. So we're gonna go ahead and start from the bottom to the top posterior chain first, and then we'll hit to the front of the body. So let's go ahead. Now, my calves are never really that sore, but we're gonna go ahead, and what we wanna do, right foot is forward, dorsiflex at the ankle. Now we're just rolling along the calves, and then once you find a tender spot, I want you to hold there, really press it into the foam roller, and we're gonna hold for about 20 to 30 seconds. We need to hold for at least 20 seconds for those Golgi tendon organs to chill out. So we need the muscle spindles to calm down so the muscles can release, so they can stretch back out, and all that good stuff. So we're just gonna hold for about 15 more seconds, and we'll hit that other side. And if you're not sore in your calves, you may not even find a tender spot. All right, let's switch sides. Left foot goes forward, start to roll it forward and back so my hands are pressing off. I have space underneath my glutes. Taking it to the inside, internal rotation of the hip, taking it to the outside. I don't feel really any tender spots in my calves, but if you do, I want you to hold it. Press into it. We'll be here for about 20 more seconds, and then it's on to the hamstrings. All right, let's release from there. Now let's take it to those hamstrings. We'll do one leg at a time so we can really press down into it. So ground through this left foot. Then I'm gonna turn sides now. Right leg goes out, and then we're just rolling back and forth all the way down the hamstring. We'll hit that IT band in just a second. Right now, just roll it back and front. And I'm feeling a little tenderness right underneath my glute, where my glute and hamstring kind of tie in. So I found a tender spot, now I'm gonna hold. We're gonna hold for about 30 seconds. I prefer to keep my foot nice and active. Just breathe through it. All right, now we're going to take a quarter turn to the right, and this may be very tender on you. So we're gonna hit along the side of that right leg. So now we're coming onto the side. Yep, bring this left foot in front. Now I'm actually gonna have to press off against my mat to not put all the pressure because it is so tender. So we're just rolling back and forth. Once you find the most tender spot, we're just gonna hold. So it might be right above the knee, it might be right more towards the hip. Find that tender spot, and we're just gonna hold. We'll be here for about 30 seconds. Just breathe through it. This could be pretty tender. And if you need to come down to the forearm, if this is too much on your wrist, come down to the forearm. I have to say it sometimes because y'all will put in the comments, it hurt my wrist. Come down to your forearms. This is your time. Do what works for you. Big, deep, expansive inhale, and then as we exhale, come back to the hands. Now we're gonna hit that piriformis towards your glute. So go ahead, get into that glute. Let's bring it to a figure four kind of stretch. So bring the right ankle over the left quad, and then we're rotating onto that right glute, and just roll up and down until you find that tender spot. Once you find that tender spot, just hold and release into the foam roller. Just let gravity do its work. Let it just come on down. See this right knee? Let's drive it out, and that may get it a little bit more. So we're not holding these. Sometimes I like to hold the tender spots for up to like 90 seconds, sometimes even longer. So you can always go back after today and hold it even longer if you want. It's up to you. But if I held every pose for 90 seconds to 3 minutes, this would be one long video. So I'm just keeping it kind of short. All right, let's come out of it, roll on back. We're gonna hit that left hamstring now. Dorsiflex at the left ankle, right foot plants. We're gonna roll up and back on that left hamstring. Now find that tender spot. For me, it is right where my glute and my hamstring kind of meet at that glute ham tie-in. And I'm just gonna hold. I prefer to keep my foot nice and active. If this is uncomfortable on your wrists, you can come down to the forearms. Big, deep, expansive inhale throughout the rib cage. And as we exhale, let's take a quarter turn, to the left. Now this is our tender spot. So bring this right foot to a kickstand, either in front or behind. I prefer in front so I can roll more onto the left side. And oh goodness. Yeah, this is super tender for me. So we're just rolling. You may want to come forward a little bit so the chest is almost pointing towards the ground, somewhere in between the front of the room and now the ground. Roll back and forth. Find that tender spot. For me, it's right here, and it's uncomfortable. This is a really tender spot on my body, so I'm holding it and it's uncomfortable, but just breathe through it. It will dissipate. It should never hurt, but it's probably going to be uncomfortable, but the feeling will dissipate. Just continue breathing. About 10 more seconds. And start to roll back up or down or whatever works. We're going to hit that left glute. So bring the foam roller back by the glutes. Now take this left ankle, cross it over the right quad, and then shift the weight into the left hand and start to roll on that left glute, back of that left hip, piriformis area. And then see if you can find a tender spot somewhere in there. And then once we do, we're just gonna hold. Again, you can come to the forearms if this bothers your wrist. One more deep, expansive inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to shift the body towards the front of the room until the foam roller comes somewhere in between the mid back and upper back. And we're just going to roll from the mid back all the way up to the shoulders, keeping the hips lifted. And just do this a few times. Should feel pretty good. Once more. All right, let the hips just rest. Now we're going to take a quarter turn to the right and come to the lats, the muscle right here underneath your armpit. So we're going to lift the hips off and roll back and forth. Make it very small, just right here. And once you find a tender spot, we're just going to hold. And you can do this number if you want. Just keep pressing the foam roller into those lats on the right side. One more deep, expansive inhale. And as we exhale, rotate back onto your mat and let's just roll it back and forth from the mid to upper back. This is my favorite. It feels so good. Don't worry, we'll get those smaller areas with that ball here later. All right, let's take it down, release the hips. Quarter turn to the left, and we're just going to roll along that left lat muscle now. Once you find a tender spot, this side is super tender for me, we're just gonna hold, and on this side, I'm releasing my hip all the way down. I do not need to apply that much pressure because it is tender. Just breathe through it. Focus on something that makes you happy. Think about something else rather than the sensation if it's super tender. Take one more deep, expansive inhale. And as we exhale, roll back on to your foam roller. Let's just go back and forth a few more rounds. Let the foam roller travel up and down one more time. And let those hips just come on down. All right, one thing I do like to do on the front of the body is get my quads. So we got that nice IT band down the side. Now, let's come on to bellies, almost like we're about to do an upward facing dog. Now we're going to do one quad at a time so we can really press down into it. Do what works for you. If you only have time to do one, you can do one. So I'm going to use my left foot as a kickstand because I can't apply that much pressure to it because it's just too much for me. So my quads are super tender right now. I'm just traveling back and forth, rolling forward, rolling back on my forearm. Once you find a tender spot, there's a few on me. We're just gonna do one. You can come back to this once we're done and do more, or hit pause and do more. We're just gonna hold. We'll be here for about 25 more seconds. Take one more deep, expansive inhale throughout the rib cage. And exhale, release those knees down. All right, we're coming to the other side. Again, I cannot put all of the weight of my body against the foam roller because it's just too much for me. I can't take it. So just rolling back and forth, shifting to the forearms, to the toes. Now, once you find that tender spot, hold, and I'm really gonna rotate my body to face the ground. And I'm just applying pressure on that area, letting the muscle release, lengthen, and undo the damage I've been doing to it. One more deep, expansive inhale. And as we exhale, slowly shift back, come onto the forearms and bring it back up. You can get rid of that foam roller because we're done with it. Now, if you want to do more, go back to it and hold it even longer. If there were some other areas around, feel free to do it. Now with this ball, I love it. So first, before we come to your wall, we're going to place that ball right along the bottom of that hip flexor to get that smaller spot. So we're coming just like we did before onto our bellies. Now very, very slowly, place that ball right below your hip flexor, kind of right where the quad and the hip flexor meet, and just roll gently on it. You can even go into the inner thighs. That feels good. Now for me, it's right where the almost where the hip and the quad meet, right below there. So I'm just holding here, applying pressure, and I'm just chilling. We'll be here for about 30 seconds. Take one more deep, expansive inhale. Then as we exhale, press through the forearms, come back into that tabletop position, bring the ball over to the right side, and very, very, very slowly give about 50% of your weight on the ball, but still pressing through the forearms. Now, just find that tender spot, back and forth, side to side. Once you find it, we're just gonna hold. You may want to bring your hip to an external rotation. Mine is just neutral right now. You can look forward, you can let the head rest, you can bring it to a block. Take one more deep, expansive inhale. And as we exhale, come back to the forearms and back to that tabletop position. All right, we're going to come to a standing position. We're going to get the mid back and right around those traps. And to do that, we're going to press against a wall, but you could also do it on the mat, but this may be too much for some, so we're going to come to a wall. It's almost like a massage when we can't get our massage because the economy shuts down. Okay, so we're going to place this ball and we're just going to travel it around this shoulder blade towards the outside. So we're looking at mid-back and we're trying to find a tender spot there. For me, I have a couple. So we're just kind of going up and down somewhere in between your spine and the shoulder blade. It may look weird and we may look funny, but it feels so good. All right, once you find it, I'm pressing into that ball now. We'll be here for about 30 seconds. Take one more deep, expansive inhale. And as we exhale, grab that ball, release from the wall. Now we're bringing it directly onto the other side. So let's see if we can find that tender spot on the other side, somewhere in between that left shoulder blade and the spine. I like to travel kind of right on the outside of that shoulder blade, on the rhomboids. Everyone's going to be different, but find that tender spot. Once you do, press more so into the wall. Let's let those muscles just chill out, lengthen, release. Take one more deep inhale, and as we exhale, go ahead, grab that ball and meet me on the ground. So we could do this on the wall, but I would just look way too funny doing it. So I'm just going to use my hand to apply pressure. Now I'm looking right around the back of the traps. So right here, kind of where that neck and trap meets, where I carry a lot of pressure and tension. So we're just traveling that ball right around the trap. Once you find a tender spot, you can take one or both hands and just apply pressure. You can do this on a wall or the mat. It just looks, I mean, who cares? But you gotta be creative with how you get into that position. So I'm just doing it like this. There are other ways to get there. Keep applying that pressure. We're going to be here for about 10 more seconds. And release. All right, let's get that other side and then we're done. So just roll it around. One side may feel tighter than the other. And I found a pretty tender spot. Now really just apply that pressure. I'm going to take both hands and really apply the pressure. And then if I can, I'm going to release this right hand. You can keep it there if you want. One more deep, expansive inhale. And as we exhale, let's bring it down. All right, I lied. Let's do one more. Let's get more towards the front because I find this area super tense too. So we were just hitting the back of the trap. Now let's get more along the front, maybe traveling up the neck. So this will be our final stretch. Once you find a tender spot, just hold. This, I mean, nothing feels as good as a massage from a really good massage therapist, but you know, sometimes we don't get that option, especially when our government shut them down and we can't use their healing hands anymore. So this is a great alternative. Let's go ahead and take it to that other side. When we can't book with them, or you know, when we just don't have the time, or when we don't have the money to shell out, this is a great kind of massage that we can perform on ourselves. Take one more deep inhale. And as we exhale, release. All right, there's a ton of more places where you can get. So if you have a tender spot on your area or an area that's really bothering you, I invite you to kind of explore that area with your ball or with your foam roller. And once you find a tender spot, you know, apply that pressure. Let's take a round of breath together. Inhaling, arms reach up. And as we exhale, cactus the arms, draw the chest open. One more time, inhale up. And exhale, cactus and open. Now, my preferred method is to do this as a cool down after the workout or on your rest and recovery day. Some people like to do it during their right before a dynamic warm up. So either is okay. Just find what works for you and have a wonderful rest of your day.